Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to call the December 17th meeting of the Common Council to order. I will ask our clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Stefanski.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Barzak.
Here.
Shaplusky.
Here.
Haas.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
May.
Here.
Reinke.
Here.
Road.
Here.
10 present.
We have a quorum. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led this evening by Alderman Stefanski. Okay, move to item D. We have a quick presentation. I'd like to invite Chief Mitchell to join me. He's on that side tonight. So it's just you and I, but Mediger Company on 96th and Greenfield, which has been a staple in West Allis for decades, has a contribution, and Joe was going to be here tonight, but he had a funeral come up, so he was unable to attend. But he just wanted to do a quick, brief, formal presentation for the K-9 unit of the West Allis Police Department, a check for $500, which I'm going to present here to Chief Mitchell. I don't know if you want to stay quick.
So if you're watching at home, thank you very much. This is not the first gift that they have given to the police department. The K-9 program is an important part of our department, and it's important to Mettingers. So thank you very much for the donation. It will go to very good use. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move to item E on our agendas. We have 4 items for public hearing this evening. I'll ask the clerk to read public hearing number 1.
Public hearing on the 2019-2020 combination Class B license application number 2742 of Cream City Print Lounge LLC. Natasha Co-Agent, doing business as Cream City Print Lounge for the premises located at 8010 West National Avenue, new non-existing location, in regard to exceeding the combination Class B alcohol license quota.
Thank you. Ms. Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. So as it was stated, Cream City Print Lounge is applying to exceed the quota for their facility at 8010 West National. This is for a instructor-led print studio, and so it's kind of under the same format as the paint and sit model that has become very popular recently, but they'd be doing print screening on clothing and other accessory products. They would like to serve complimentary wine and beer for their patrons that are 21 and older, and in order to do that, they need to be able to exceed the quota. I know there was some concerns about ensuring that the primary use of the business maintained as a print studio. And so with the recent passage of the code update to allow council to control for that, staff supports this proposal, and we have not heard any objections to date.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this item from the members of the Common Council? Seeing none, are there any questions on this item from the audience? Okay, seeing nobody on, we will close public hearing number 1, and we will move on to item 2. I'll ask the clerk to read public hearing number 2.
Public hearing on ordinance to amend the future land use map within the city's comprehensive plan, Chapter 10 land use, from industrial and office to commercial land use, classification for property located at 6610 West Greenfield Avenue.
Ms. Bennett?
Thank you. So staff is recommending that we change our future land use map for the property at 6610 West Greenfield from industrial and office to commercial. This is the property that you may remember came before you last month as the Reunion Restaurant. And doing this update to our land use plan would put it in alignment with both what's currently happening on the site, it is a commercial use, and also staff's vision for this corridor. We see this as a thriving commercial corridor, not an industrial corridor, and so this update would bring that into alignment. And we have had no objections to this proposal to date either.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the Common Council on public hearing number 2? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the audience on public hearing number 2? Okay, seeing none, we will close our second public hearing, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 3.
Public hearing on ordinance to amend the West Allis, official West Allis zoning map by rezoning the property located at 6610 West Greenfield Avenue, 6512 West Greenfield Avenue, 6500 West Greenfield Avenue, from M1 Manufacturing District to C3 Community Commercial District, submitted by the City of West Allis Department of Development.
Thank you. Ms. Bennett.
Thank you. So this is related to the previous item. 6610 again is the the Reunion property. 6512 is the current Cousins sub shop, and 6500 West Greenfield is a vacant mixed-use building. Our current future land use map has 6512 and 6500 as commercial properties for the future land use. And then as we just recommended, the Reunion property also being zoned commercial, in the future land use as commercial. And so updating our zoning map to have all 3 of these properties would bring it into alignment with what's happening today and also what the future vision of the corridor is. And we have not heard any objections to date.
Thanks very much. Are there any questions from the council on public hearing number 3? Seeing none, are there any questions from the members of the audience on public hearing number 3? Okay. Seeing none, we will close public hearing number 3, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 4.
Public hearing and resolution relative to determination of application for a special use permit for Mary Queen of Saints Catholic Academy, a proposed elementary school to be located at 1121 South 116th Street, submitted by Andrea Hager.
Thank you. Ms. Bennett?
Thank you. So this is for a special use to be located at 1121 South 116th Street. Currently, Marian College leases that space, but their lease will be expiring in May of 2020. The students that would be at this school would be K-3 through 8th grade, and they're currently at a school at over on 92nd Street. There'll be about 30 staff members, and the school operations would be from 7:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. In this zoning district, elementary schools are considered a special use, which is why it is here today. And there are actually 171 parking spaces on this site, but the school, according to our code, only actually requires 13 spaces. So they have much more parking than necessary. The applicant has provided a proposed drop-off plan, and the important piece on this plan is just to note that all of the drop-offs will be taking place within the property, not on any of the street fronts. And this is both to encourage the safety of the students and also to prevent any sort of backup traffic on the adjacent streets. Plan Commission did recommend approval of this special use permit at their December meeting, and we have not heard any objections so far.
Thank you. Do any members of the Common Council have questions on public hearing number 4? Okay, seeing none, are there any members of the audience that have questions on public hearing number 4? All right, we will close our 4th and final public hearing. And we will move on to item F, which is citizen participation. This is when the Common Council can receive information from the members of the public during this 30-minute period Each speaker must please give us their name and address, sign in at the podium, and limit their comments to one statement of no more than 5 minutes. We can't interact with people because most likely things that are not going to be on the agenda. Alderman Haas, I believe you wanted to comment?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Devine. I just wanted to point out, I know everyone here is aware that there are a number of folks that are very interested in the issue of retiree health insurance benefits, and I want to point out to folks that if you'd like to speak on that issue or any issue, now is the time rather than in the committee meeting. We typically don't have time or an opportunity for public participation within the committee meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are now in citizen participation. Does anybody wish to address the Common Council? If so, please come up to the podium and give us your name and address.
I signed on the other one. You want me to sign on this one again? Or?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said I signed on the other sheet. You need me to sign on this one again?
Yeah, you should be okay. We know who you are.
All right, sounds good. So, good evening, council. My name is Barry Waddell. I live at 1140 South 96th Street. I'm a retiree from the police department after about 30 years of service. I retired at the end of 2017. I'm here to speak on behalf on the insurance issue, as Alderman Haas mentioned. So specifically about the increases in co-pays on premiums. So and specifically the issue of 11% increase for retirees. When I retired under the roll-in with the active program, which I understood meant any changes for the actives, that basically we would absorb those changes as well. Fully understood that, agreed with that, and so be it. So the issue is fairness and equality. When I retired, I was paying $405 a month for my co-pay and premium for a family. In 18, it went up already to $478. This year, it went up to $650. And with your proposal at 11%, I should say your decrement that's mentioned, that would put it up to, in my math, $940, which for me would be a 130% increase over, roughly a 2-year span. It's pretty drastic. And getting back to the split for 7% for actives and 11% for retirees, it really boils down to an issue of fairness and equality. I think it's one of those issues. When I worked for the city, we understood that we'll be taking care of retirees in the future. Some ways you kind of subsidize the retirees by what we pay or that type of thing. So, and I think this is another issue. You need to look at taking care of our retirees, the service they gave for their city. There's many of them sitting here tonight as well, and I'm sure they want to vocalize some of the same issues. So, other things to look at, just a little background on our raises, so to speak, from the pension system. 2008 or 2018, excuse me, it was a 2.4% increase. This year, basically, 2019, there will be 0%, no deductions, no increases, roughly. And you look at the cost of living for 2019, it was a 2.8% increase, and with next year's projection at 1.6% increase, seeing a little bit of a disparity in that gap. So that's all I have, and thank you for your time, and I hope the Administration and Finance Committee will take this under consideration in their breakout session. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address the Common Council under citizen participation?
My name's Gary Stryker. I live at 12211 West Cleveland Avenue. I also was employed by the city of West Allis. I worked there for 32 years. And over those 32 years, I basically want to talk about the fairness as well. I'm going to kind of reiterate what Barry Waddell had said. And over those 32 years, that the costs were shared by existing current employees as well as the retirees. And that is shifting to the pre-65 retirees disproportionately. And I know I was at the meeting on Monday, and the Horton Group was there in the administration. Some of the city administrators were there. I'm sorry, I got there a little late, so I didn't catch names. But they had indicated that that was the heaviest use group, the pre-65s. But that's always been the case. And as active employees, we always, and I hate the word subsidized, but you know, we paid to kind of cover that age group. Now all of a sudden it's changing where the burden is being put on the retirees, much more so than being spread out amongst the group I had mentioned earlier. Thank you for your time, and
Thank you.
thanks.
It's been a while. Rick Gale, 2831 South 114th Street. 31 years on the fire department, 26 years on the bargaining board. I know a number of you up here, you know I had significant union involvement. You know, I've been involved in negotiations for years. At the risk of sounding like Trump, there was a quid pro quo, no question about it. Historically, this jurisdiction was the first in southeastern Wisconsin to do a premium share. We did it on a flat dollar amount, and we were one of the first jurisdictions to change that premium share to a percentage. We have a long history of working with the city, cooperating with the city, being reasonable. Many of you know when Paul Zeeler was there, fire union struck a deal even in terms of a pay raise as to what the city's finances were going to look like. This is a complete turning your back on people who have always worked cooperatively with the city. In terms of how the system works here, and Tommy and I mean, you guys know this, and Vince as well. Mickey does too, but he might want to admit it. If you look around at other jurisdictions, there is no couple plan. Couple plans don't exist. You're either single or family. And the couple plan was created here years ago as a way to control and keep in check retiree health insurance costs. With a few exceptions, and there's a few of my brothers out there who decided to have children at a later age, but most retirees are under a couple plan. And if you look at how the increases were over the years, there was more volatility in the single plan and the family plan, but the couple plan increased relatively stable. Coupled with the fact, as Gary indicated before, it's always been a cooperative process. I think $180 is, well, first of all, most of us at the time had to live in the city, and most of the retirees still do. So not only are you turning your back on long-term employees, you're turning your back on citizens who have lived here longer than some of the people who sit on that podium. And I would really appreciate the fact that if you'd reflect, think about that, think about fairness, equality. I understand fairness is in the eye of the beholder, but I don't think any reasonable person could say that it's fair to put such a disproportionate amount of the increase on the backs of a small number of employees. So I hope you contemplate that. If you have any questions and want any more background, any off-the-record comment, I'll meet with anyone or all of you at any time. And I appreciate you giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address the council under citizen participation? Okay. We will close citizen participation, and we will move on to item G. Our standing committees will be meeting during recess. Those room numbers are listed on page 2 of your agendas. Moving on to item H, I do not have the mayor's report to share with you this evening, so we will move right on to item I. Do we have any reports from the alderpersons?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Weigel.
just real quickly, dog park is open. I'd like to thank everybody that helped make it happen. It's not done. We still have some other goals we'd like to work on. in the future, but the address is approximately 11200 West Hayes Street. That's the front door. So if you know where Rogers Memorial Hospital is on 111th and Lincoln, go south on 111th, make a right turn and come to Hayes, park in the nearest on-street parking space and walk down the white gravel road. The dog park is free and open to the public for the rest of this year, from dawn till dusk. We are finalizing the fee structure at tonight's License and Health Committee meeting. I'd like to thank everyone. I know many of you were there at the ribbon cutting. The mayor was there, obviously. And once again, I'd like to thank staff, our various departments that help pull all the levers behind the scenes to help make this happen, and the numerous volunteers that help do the private fundraising, and the multitude of local West Allis businesses that stepped up and gave generously to this project.
Thank you, Alderman Weigel. Are there any other reports from the alderpersons?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of the Common Council meeting of December 3rd.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Were there any changes to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Minutes are approved. We will move on to item K on the agenda. I'll ask for a motion to place item 6 on file and refer items 7, 8, and 9 to the city attorney. There's a motion by Alderman May, a second by Alderman Barzak. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We do not have any standing committee reports under item L.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman
I
Lysick.
move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are in recess.